Let's take a look at what our clients really want. I want to tell you the story of Meredith, a client of mine. It's obviously not her real name. Meredith was in her late 20s. She had just finished school in Boulder, grad school, and was referred to me by her family practitioner. During the summer break prior to seeing me, she had been home visiting friends, had gone camping, and the fire in their campsite got out of control in the middle of the night. Some embers kind of flared up after they had gone to bed, actually. It was a pretty horrific experience. No one died, so that was good, but it was pretty traumatic for her. So anyway, Meredith came to see me because this was some months later. She began having panic attacks, actually. Her symptoms up until that point had been marginally troublesome, a little difficulty going to sleep occasionally, sometimes feeling fear if she heard sirens or that kind of thing. But all of a sudden it kicked in, and she began getting migraines, was really having a hard time going to sleep, afraid that her apartment would catch fire. All sorts of things were going on. So anyway, Meredith and I worked together only for a couple of months, unfortunately. We went pretty slowly. We finally got to where we were starting to do some EMDR, and then Meredith's boyfriend got a job in Portland, so they were moving. So she was in the situation of having finally started this work and starting to make some progress, and then her life was changing. So Meredith really wanted to find a good therapist to continue her work in Portland, but she wanted to find someone who could pretty much start where we left off, and someone that had specialized in trauma. Have you ever really studied how non-therapists find therapists? Let's take a look. One of the ways that clients find therapists is through their insurance companies. In Meredith's case, she didn't have insurance, so that wasn't an option for her. Another way clients find therapists is through their doctors. Again, Meredith didn't have insurance, so she didn't really want to go to a doctor when she got in Portland just to get a recommendation to go to a therapist. So again, this wasn't an option. Some people find therapists in the yellow pages. However, if you have any knowledge at all, you would look at the yellow pages and have a pretty good sense that they all look the same. All the therapists look the same. Certainly a one-liner with a name and a degree and a phone number isn't going to do you any good in determining what people do. And in Meredith's case, she really needed to she knew that she was dealing with trauma, and she wanted to get someone who was specializing in trauma. Local directories are another option that clients can use to find therapists. Directories in and of themselves are only effective in so much as therapists niche within them and really speak specifically to the issue. In in Meredith's case, she was able to get a hold of a local directory. Most of the therapists, however, either didn't specialize in trauma, or they listed trauma as a specialty amongst 20 other things and didn't really talk to it. So that didn't do it for Meredith. And finally, we get to online directories. The internet is being used more and more for searches for almost anything. I saw a recent statistic that showed that there were 12 billion searches, I believe, in the U.S. alone in the month of July 2008. The internet is really being used heavily for searching for any kind of resource, professional or otherwise. Online directories see a fair share of traffic, and there are several of them, and that is really where Meredith went. Let's take Meredith's journey with her online. Okay, so the first thing Meredith did was she went to Google and she searched on trauma therapist Portland. There were a number of results that came up, the paid for results over here on the right, and then of course the organic searches over here. In just reading through things, she can see who's who. Here was someone who, there's a website, traumatherapist.com, apparently in this directory, maybe with this person. You never quite know with these descriptions. But she decided to look into that directory. Looking in Oregon, she could see, here was this guy. Okay, so this is the guy, John Flanagan. And then just reading his little description, helping adult survivors with ongoing effects of childhood trauma and neglect, she could see that, okay, he works with trauma for sure, but the issues are really around childhood trauma. That's really not me. So this is what clients do. They just search around to see if they can find what they want in Google, and it's often pretty overwhelming. Here's a therapist directory, goodtherapy.org. There's the word trauma. Who knows what might be in there? A lot of times people will end up going into directories. So here's goodtherapy.org. It looks like there's 27 people in Portland. So she can start looking through there. Now, what we're looking at right now is we're looking at what is called a search results page. This they have already, goodtherapy.org has already presented just the search results for Portland in their directory. So there are 27 members in Portland, 2 pages of therapists. Search results pages typically don't have very much information on them. You have to really go into the actual counselor's profile to see who they are. But you can see some things. Most of them, they'll have their name and some license information, but they'll have a field of practice here. So she does counseling for personal growth and career development. Okay, so that doesn't apply. Eating disorders and sexual abuse trauma, that doesn't apply. And this is the kind of thing that folks will do. Mental health therapy, well, that's not very specific at all. We could go in there and see. We could just look at some of these and see what they are. With these profiles internally, what you can usually see is individual therapy. There's something that describes what they do. Now, the trick is that there's a couple of things. I won't go into a lot of the details now because some of these are just marketing issues. But this is very common. Concerns addressed. Everything in the world is usually listed. Now, there is post-traumatic stress. He did include trauma. The issue is that a client who's reading this, they look at that and they say, okay, well, this is a jack of all trades. He's not a specialist in trauma. This is what people do. And you can see here as well that, his approach to helping, are you struggling with anxiety, depression, or relationship problems? Perhaps you're feeling hopeless or stuck, consumed by worry and panic, fear of, on and on and on. He's a generalist, definitely. And again, he's going to look like a jack of all trades and an expert at nothing. And that's, hopefully this guy's okay with me critiquing this, but this is what most therapists are doing today. He's right in there with everybody else. These are the issues that we don't really want to continue. We don't really want to bring these issues into our marketing because we just don't appear to be a specialist. So with the niching approach, what I'm going to show you is an example of someone who did niche. I will tell you that these types of results were very typical of what Meredith found, looking very hard. Psychology Today, same idea. She went into that. She searched around. This is a Portland search results page again. This actually went right into a therapist profile. And here's someone who, again, you're invited to a safe place. We'll work together addressing anxiety, depression, relationship problems, on and on. Again, another generalist, not someone who stands out as a trauma therapist or a trauma specialist. So these are the things you want to watch for. This is why you want to niche.